You know, it's fascinating with Meghan Markle when you think about it. They're always talking about controlling the imagery, the privacy, all that sort of stuff. And as we've told you many times here on the show, it's always worked when it's in their favour. They don't mind their privacy, particularly Meghan being exposed when she secretly goes to visit the coffee shop in Dusseldorf, Germany, or when she's going to see the founder of that coffee company that she and Harry invested in. Remember the one that Oprah Winfrey gushed about, and it's never been mentioned since. I'm sure she starts every day with it though. Yeah, and it's interesting now to note that Meghan seems to have recruited, according to good insiders, this particular ex-friend to do a little bit of, shall we say, social media PR to see exactly where her standing is in the world right now. As ever, let me explain. Hi, good morning, how are you? Nice to see you. By the way, horror, where do you stand on that? Horror's a big business, let me tell you, because way back in the 1950s and 60s, Hammer horror films were big business. And now, if you have an original poster from that particular era, an auction has just been put together, things like zombie killers, but a big seller was none other than the original big screen version of the middle 60s with Peter Cushing as Doctor Who. That went for over £4,000. Can you imagine? Big money in horror. Personally, always been a big fan of all of it. Ingrid Pitt, remember her? What a beautiful lady she was, absolutely. And who remembers, of course, the brilliant Vincent Price and Christopher Lee, the iconic Dracula. Told you I met him. Was never keen to keep reprising that role, but who cares? It made him famous. And what a good actor too. Back as ever though to your breaking royal story of the day. This really all centres upon the fact that, as I said, Meghan Markle, shrinking violet, doesn't want the world exposed, only when it suits, allegedly, Meghan Markle. And this is because, as you can see now, as we've told you before, she's popping up more and more on Netflix streaming services with those old reruns of Suits. It's now become something of a vintage show. But her former co-star, who she married in the series, Patrick J. Adams, has recently been leaking more and more never-before-seen shots of Meghan behind the scenes on the set of Suits. Now, anybody else doing that, perhaps her father, or indeed a former friend like Jessica Mulrooney, shot down in flames. So this leads to a lot of speculation. Is this? Oh, we've got some bird with a megaphone. Shall we plough on? Yeah. And you see, here's where it gets more interesting, because obviously Patrick, missing the limelight, missing the association, it basically is muting around the idea of, is it time for a Friends movie perhaps? Take two. And this is where it gets more interesting, because Patrick J. Adams is really mooting around the idea of, is it now time for a Suits movie? Really? And it would only work, of course, if Meghan, as Rachel in the show, was to come back. Now, as I say, we know that Meghan and her brand new team are trying many different avenues to make sure she's put in positive relative light, and you can understand that. They're hoping to make it a big success. But isn't it strange she doesn't shoot down the former co-star, Patrick J. Adams, for invading her privacy, using footage or pictures of her that perhaps he has no copyright control over, and more importantly, he's quite happy to see positive feedback. The other side of the coin is it truly working? And will Patrick, if it doesn't work, be put on the naughty step? Neil Shawn, Parliament, London.